afternoon. Is it okay for it to be lowered a little bit? Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming today to celebrate my mom's birthday. I could give a round of applause for that. And also to start out a conversation. This is Inner Voice. It's a program to talk with kids and parents, youths and adults, just to talk about the things in the world. We have a wonderful program for you guys. We're going to start with speakers, and then we'll have a panelist of people ranging from this age to this age. I won't out them. But it's going to be youths and parents, and we'll have questions. I'll be facilitating. And then we'll now have the birthday celebration. Yes. This is all, again, to celebrate Fruitful Vine and also the work that we have been doing over the year. I will be introducing, for the welcoming address, my mom and also the celebrant to go and welcome us and give us a few words. Round of applause, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Fruitful Vine Foundation, I welcome you to the Inner Voice, a gathering created to honor the powerful conversation. The conversation we often within ourselves keep, and the healing which we all looking for, the healing that we all are sometimes we're looking for, we're seeking for, and we never have who. And at times, we are deep into it. At times, we pray into it. At times, we lure into it, and we don't have anyone to lure us out. At times, we don't even know when we need to stop. The inner voice. The voice which can be negative. The voice which can be positive. The voice in which you can deeply lure yourself into, and you can bury yourself inside. And it might, at times, create things that sometimes you won't be able to see who will take you out of. Sometimes ago, for some times I have been pondering over this. I've been personally hearing some voices. And those voices, I don't know if it is negative, if it is positive, but I'm such a person that whatever thing that comes my way, I always look inside to see that the way around it that I can make any negative things to turn into positive things. So I discussed with someone. I said, I'm just hearing things. How can I make it positive? Why can't we organize a program? And I don't know what to call the program. So we started deliberating. What should we call the program? Then the person told me, he said, maybe when you sit down, God is going to tell you something. Then I come with the inner voice. Many of us, we need the healing. Many of us, because of the inner voice inside of us, it has created a lot of things that have damaged us. I want to believe by the end of this program is a journey. We'll be able to take up something out of this gathering, to say, yes, I can walk on my inner voice and I can live with it. So at Fruitful Vine Foundation, I'm going to tell us our vision. You can see our vision here. I will just run through it. And he said, restoring family value and encouraging the brokenhearted, bringing hope and joy to the younger generation. And the mission, our mission is to promote the well-being of children, youth, and families in our community and develop their talent through creative ideas and activities. I'm very sure that many of us, we have seen our activities. We have seen how we have developed the talent of many of our youths. And this is just the beginning. Before I leave, the inner voice is just one of the ways in which we live our vision. Because sometimes the most damaging words we ever hear aren't from others, they come from within us. I want to just briefly tell you some of the things, or those people that they have shared their personal experiences with me, and my own personal thoughts, or my own personal experience about the inner thoughts. These names that I want to mention, they are not their real name. So don't be looking for their names. Yeah, there is a Stella, the perfect student, smiling on the outside, drowning in silence inside. Our inner voice whispered, if you don't succeed, you are nothing. She never asked for help until the day she broke down in school, and no one knew what to say. That is about Stella. And there is Mr. Badmus, a father who was never taught to cry. I'm very sure many of us, we are from Africa. We can resonate with this. His inner voice says, real men don't talk about feelings. He loved his son deeply, but can't say it, can't show it. Now his son has learned to hide his emotions as well. Silence passed down like an inheritance. Many of us, when we have our boys, they must not cry, because men never cry. They never shed tears. Inner voice. And there's Josephine, an immigrant's mother, balancing a survivor and shame. Our inner voice demands perfection. You must not disappoint your family or your God. She concealed her depression behind a smile. No one knows she cries after the children go to bed. How many of us can we resonate with that? And there is Kevin, a 15-year-old boy, bullied until his inner voice screamed out. You are a mistake, he said to himself. He stopped eating. He stopped speaking to anyone. Started cutting himself. Until someone finally asked him, not what was wrong with him. They never asked him what was wrong, but what he was hearing inside. So, these are the voices we are here for today. Voices that echo in our homes, in our cultures, in our minds. Voices shaped by trauma, expectation, silence, and survival. Today, we gather to listen, heal, and create space for ourselves and one another. This is inner voice. And today, we speak. Let's touch each other's and let's speak out. You are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be acting as the host for today, but I will also be coming in as a youth speaker. My mom asked that I do a little presentation on kind of the youth side of this conversation about the inner voice. Even though we're a group together, please don't mind them. I had to reprimand them in the back, so now they have to join us. But even though we are, a group that we're coming together to listen to this, you will also have chance at the very end of the presentation to, ask questions or to answer. Yeah? So this is it's really a time for us to engage in conversation. So I'm going to start my presentation with you. This is called The Art of Community, or The Art of Communicating. I'm going to say next. Okay, so some of you might not know what I do outside of this, but for the past 12 years, I've been a facilitator, I've been a public speaker, a spoken word artist, and a poet. So I travel most of the time to different places in Canada, and in August, I'll be going to Europe to be able to talk about this. And most of what I do is talking about what it's like to be kind of a young artist in the world, and what it means to deal with mental health, to deal with community in a healthy way, especially for this time and age and this time and place right now. So I'm going to talk through a little bit of what the research has been when talking about inner voice in particular. Next slide. Okay, yeah, those are just a little bit of the books that I published on, especially on mental health, especially on how kids can kind of come out of their shells through art, through poetry, things like that. Next slide. Okay, I won't go through too many of things because we don't have too much time and we have 2 other speakers. But with youths, I do a collective. We're about 50 people right now, 50 youths. And what we do is kind of sit like this and have discussions. And from those discussions, we make art pieces. And then those art pieces now go into festivals or other presentation or other places. So BIPOC Got Talent is a good example of using, your voice in a productive way. Thank you. Yeah, so this is workshop facilitation too. I don't know if anyone really has gone to any art workshops. Raise of hand if you have gone to art workshops. Okay, so this is where now we need to have that discussion about how to combat inner voices. So inner voices, when we talk about that, is, that voice in your head that says that you're not enough or that what people are telling you is what you are. People do not have ways to outlet it, to take what is inside and put it out into the world. That's why we have art workshops. That's why we have artists. It's now during the 21st century that people are calling themselves artists, because there's a lot of back and forth on can you make a future? Can you make work with being an artist? But what they don't realize, and a lot of parents don't realize, is that art is not about making money. It's about having a positive outlet for negative thoughts. And by erasing that part of a person's life, you're erasing something that could help them not become depressed or suicidal. So all of these workshops that I do are for youths, are for people that are young, are for adults that need that outlet in their life. Okay. So you can see some of the pictures of people that have created art with me, created poetry with me. And the poems that they've written are about, things that are going on in their life. They don't have to go into big details about it, but I know that when they enter the space, they leave in a better mindset, and that's what's important. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go into some of the hard conversations that we have during those focus groups in particular. Again, when we are thinking about inner voice, it's important that you take it from the inside out. So what are some of the conversations that I've had with people over the years about inner voice? Thank you. Okay. So one thing that I make sure for people that have not really had they've not gone into things like therapy. They have not gone into things like, oh, I have these negative thoughts, I don't know what to do with them. I try to kind of narrow it down for them so that it's a lot easier for them to understand. For some reason in our culture, we do not talk. We don't like talking about any of the things going on in our mind, going on in our brain. So then how do you start that conversation with people, So I try to break it down with them. For example, microaggressions. I'm just going to read what it is. So microaggressions are everyday verbal, nonverbal, or environmental slights, snubs, or insults, whether intentional or unintentional, which communicate hostile and negative message to target a person based solely upon their marginalized group membership. So that can mean, with racism, for example, I think everyone here, we have encountered some kind of microaggression over our time here in Canada. Think so? Yeah? I'm seeing nods. But people do not know what that name is. They don't think racist, but they don't think about microaggressions. They don't think about micro insults. Do you know that in our daily lives, it's not just people outside of our marginalized group, but it's ourselves even that we are creating that microaggression. By saying one thing or another to someone else, we are creating that space where insults are allowed, where insults are given to kids nonchalantly without knowing that it's affecting them in some way or another. So that's microaggressions. So with youths in particular, especially in the 21st century, a lot of adults coming in, especially those that are coming in from a different country, coming into Canada, the kids are having a much more different experience than you will ever have. Right now in 2025, youths in particular are a marginalized group, and they age out of it, but in that space, they are dealing with a lot of things outside of them. So what microaggressions are youths experiencing in their early life? In schools, you are literally given a space where you are determined whether you will make it or you will not. And the way that people interact with you is based on that. So it's either you are smarter than everyone or you are forgotten. Or you're really good at sports or you are put in the side. Even when playing dodgeball, for example, and some kids, usually our kids, are picked last. We don't understand how those little micro moments are creating bigger and bigger mental strain in the kids. At home, parents engage with youths like their investments or their burdens or entrapment or lower extensions of themselves. That is something in our focus group we have talked a lot about, where kids feel like they are brought off to be investments of their parents rather than their own beings. Or youths are seen as burdens where, parents will talk about going to the grocery store and having to buy that one meal that the kid wants to buy, and then the kid doesn't realize that it's not because of them, but because of bills. And so they think of themselves as a burden, and they bring that into schools and bring that into life, and it all festers up. Online. So I'm not going into the stance of internet is bad, because it's actually becoming a twist. More youths are finding connection, community, found family online than they can with in-person people. When you're dealing with micro insults every single day of your life, and then you're playing video games and your friends are there and they're in the chat and everybody is laughing and having fun, to the outside world, it looks like they're not having in-person interactions, but they're finding a community online. It's now where we balance it, where it's not just one thing and another. So please do not think that I'm taking a stance that internet is bad. It's actually been helping us a lot in our discussions. Next one. So under micro insults are micro invalidations. This is where we get really into the nitty-gritty of inner voices. So it's communications that subtly exclude, negate, or nullify the thoughts and feelings of a person. For example, you have said this in passing to someone. Every single one of you have said it in passing with someone. You won't amount to anything. You are lazy. Don't you want to help me after all I've done for you? No one will tolerate you. You need to be the man of the house. You are just like your father, mother. Those can be classified under micro-invalidations. It's under the umbrella of microaggressions, which becomes a mental struggle for a lot of the kids that I talk to. So little statements like that on their own don't really amount to things. You won't see it in the daily lives, but you will start, as they grow older, becomes a cycle, and it cycles, and it cycles, and it cycles, and we get to where we are. Next slide. So one thing that I like to tell people when I create like focus groups that have I like to say that the kids these days are growing up with more disparities than ever before. Because of, maybe in your time you had just the news. Now we have radio, we have newspapers, we have online, we have Instagram, TikTok, we have Twitter or X. We have Reddit, we have Discord, we have school panels, we have high school, what's it called when they have that like sports stuff that they do? I don't know. I didn't pay attention in high school. I was writing books. But they have all of these different kinds of things that every single one of them is telling them all the news that are happening in the world. Maybe you will just need to focus on your family, your work, and then that's it. But now kids these days are focusing on, yes, their family, friends, what's happening in the world outside of where they are. They know what's happening 2 blocks away. They know about the stabbings that are happening in 20th Street at the same time knowing what's happening in Gaza. There is more disparities in the world and more ways to know about it. I find that I need to listen to the radio for only 2 hours a day. I can't do more of that, or I start becoming more depressed. So imagine now living in this hub or this mosaic that we are in right now, where we have different cultures, different people that we interact with. Youths in particular are in that world. We're always in that world. So I say these are statements that kids have said to me. I remember doing a focus group, and this 9-year-old kid came up to me and wanted to write a poem. And his poem was, "The world is burning, everything's on fire, I'm on fire." That was his poem. And I didn't know what to say to that. A 9-year-old kid, Found family is now becoming more efficient. So your friends, for example, they find more joy in being with their friends than they do with their family because of all of those micro-invalidations that sum up and sum up and sum up. There's a reason why bedrooms become a haven or a place of safety, because it removes them from everything else happening in the world. So how do we now bridge that world together? Next. So how has the world set your limitations? That's one of the questions I ask the youths. And this is their answers, No clear, stable support system. What is a support system for kids these days? It should be the family, should be your first support system. But when that fails, it feels like the foundation itself has failed. So what can you do then? Your voice is cut off by family hierarchy. When you're trying to talk about what's happening in life, you get shut down very quickly. And then you get shut down because of respect, and then it just stumbles, and we're back in step 1. There's no community building exercises in your daily life. This is where I work in. That's the job that I do. That's why I travel so much, because I'm literally trying to build little communities for kids and for youths all over Canada, because they don't have that. No set goals for the future, If insults are clouding your judgment, how can you set up for the future? And then the power of the tongue. This is very powerful for me. When you say that you don't amount to anything, when the world says you don't amount to anything, what can you amount to? It works in tandem with each other. Next slide. So how can you redefine your limitations to strengths? What are some experiences where you have put yourself in the mentality of lesser, and how can you build up from that? That's the next question that I usually ask them. What can you do to overcome your limitations? That's a lot harder to answer. It's very easy for them to say what is limiting them, but how to overcome is completely different. Because again, how can you overcome if your voice was never heard? You know? It's literally teaching people how to speak again before you can tell them how to overcome. Next slide. So this is ways that I have found my voice and ways that I tell other youths that they can find their voice. My only thing for me is finding a creative or physical outlet. That is so important to kids these days. Like, there's so many ways to be creative in this world. We have so much resources to be creative. You can go on soundscape.com and you can create music on your own. You can create your own album in your bedroom. That's how much resources we have. Being creative allows you to not have the pressure to be good. You know, you just need to start something, and it can be based on anything. I remember like journals and having journals upon journals upon journals. I didn't create any art from it, but me just writing helped me get out of that turmoil or inner voice that was plaguing the way that I see the world. So, you know, running, it doesn't need to be art, it can also be physical too. I like running at like 7 a.m. I'll wake up, because that means I'm waking up with everybody too, and I can run around the neighborhood, which is great. Finding a community where positive enrichment is the bare minimum. So what are community-based stuff that we do that where positive enforcement is the minimum? You don't have to be so amazing to get positive reinforcement. Workshops, for example, are so important. So places where you can go, that there's a teacher there that is saying, good job, keep going, you're doing great. That is what schools are supposed to be, but sometimes they're not. That's what family is supposed to be, but sometimes they're not. So where is places that you can find community that have positive enrichment? Setting boundaries when needed. We don't have enough time to get into that, but I really do hope that anyone listen, go and research what it's like to set a boundary and what that means to yourself. It really does help. And then, of course, understanding myself and my wants and needs. You have to learn how to speak again in order to know how to help yourself. Next slide. I think this is the last slide. Yeah. So last words. This is what I say to the youth at the end of each workshop that we do. And I also say to the parents, staying in bedrooms is not a sign of disrespect. It is a lack of a regulated space to flourish, be themselves, and have emotional needs met. What are they interested in? What do you create together? How do you make them community-oriented again? Someone said that they live in a bedroom family or a living room family. You know, are you a family that everybody's in separate bedrooms, or are you a family that everybody's hanging out in the living room? And if you try to think back to that, maybe that can help with what's the next step, you know. But the first thing is, what are you interested in? If the youths don't know what they're interested in because they've never been given the space to flourish, then how can you know what they're interested in? It's a two-way street. So that's my talk on youths, the youth version of Inner Voice. We'll have multiple different kinds of speakers today talking about the different sides of Inner Voice. But yeah, thank you for listening. Next, I'm going to bring up to the stage, and we can also, that's great, thank you. I'm going to bring up to the stage Mrs. Toby Oyedele, who will be speaking with us about controlling your inner voice. Thank you. Round of applause, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right, that was weak. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, I'm a communicator, so you need to bear with me. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. All right, it's great to have you all here, and I am quite honored to be here. Can you hear me well? Yes. All right, great. I'm quite honored to be here with the organizers of the Inner Voice, Fruitful Vine, and Reconciliation Resources. I want to thank everyone here for showing up physically, mentally, emotionally, and all-wise. The reason why I'm saying thank you is this. When Peace was speaking, I realized that everyone was listening with such rapt attention. Everyone wanted to learn. So everyone is here to learn. We're all here to rub minds. And so I'm not going to be speaking at you. I'll be speaking with you. And so once in a while, I'll pause, ask questions. Sometimes I'll make direct contact with you. So pay attention, the next person to say something to us today. Today, we're talking about something deeply personal, something that we live with every day, something we interact with all the time. And that thing is the inner voice. Sometimes it's really quiet. It just whispers into your ear and tells you, like someone is behind you. Or sometimes it's very loud, and it's like someone is shouting things in your head. And really, sometimes those voices speak things to us about who we are, what we can do, how we can do those things, and how we view the world around us. I'm going to ask a question very briefly. What is your inner voice like? The voice you hear, is it quiet? Is it that loud one? What do you hear right now? Is something saying something in your head? Probably it's asking, do you hear me? That inner voice is everywhere. It's here, it's right there. You know, I was speaking with someone today, and he said something very profound. He said the inner voice is viscous. It's like viscous thoughts. They appear to be you, they appear to be yours, but they're not yours most of the time. They just, when something is viscous, it's pretty hard to pour. And so the viscous thought merges itself with the brain, and so it just forms one entity that looks like your brain, but most of it is really not yours. I'll get to that in a minute. So what is the inner voice? The inner voice is simply your internal narrator. It tries to tell your story. It's the voice that responds when you make a mistake. Oh, you foolish somebody, you've done it again. Oh, you can't do anything right. Oh, it doesn't even say you, it says I. And so you think it's yours. Oh, why am I so clumsy? Why am I, And it speaks when you're trying to do something new. Oh, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I don't even know how to do it. I don't have a clue. You do. The thing there is, it's made of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your life's experiences. It's a combination of all those things. And sometimes it says, like I said, you're not good enough. Sometimes it says, you've got this. Oh, I can do this. You know all those second-born kids? I'm sorry if you're here. We know you. Those guys that like to do everything. Once they enter a place, you know they're there because they believe they can fix everything. You know them, right? You don't know them. They know themselves. They feel they can fix everything, and they really can. Because when you believe a thing, you become that thing. While I was preparing for this talk, I discovered that there are things in the Quran things in the Bible, statements, and statements even in other religions that buttress this talk, the inner thought. I will not be going into that now. However, the inner voice sounds most like it's either encouraging you or it's critical. So your inner voice, is it loud? Is it muted? Is it confident? Or is it unsure? Now, why does this matter? Why is it important for us to talk about the inner voice? It shapes our reality. If your inner voice constantly tells you that you're a failure, chances are that you're most likely to give up before you even start. If your inner voice tells you that if you step out of this place now, something bad will happen, chances are you'll probably not want to step out, or when you step out, you become very apprehensive and anxious because you're expecting something to happen. It tells you that you're worthy sometimes. Sometimes it tells you you're worthy, and it can push you through hard things. I once heard someone say that you are not what you think you are. You are not what you think you are, but what you think you can do. I can think, oh, I'm this, I'm that, but if my thoughts are not followed by actions, there's nothing I can do about it. Now, the roots of the inner voice don't just appear out of nowhere. It is shaped. And this is where we're going. Remember, we're talking about how to take control of this inner voice. And we've laid a foundation about what the inner voice is and how the inner voice works. The inner voice didn't appear out of nowhere. It's shaped by parents and caregivers. Many of us are guilty. By culture and community, our culture, our community, they're also guilty. And it's also shaped by media and comparison. Parents, did you affirm your kids before you came here today? Or did we, let's say we, because I'm a parent too, did we say something nice to them? Did we criticize them? Or did we affirm them? Did we tell them, oh, you are wonderful? Or probably they're doing something, you're like, oh my goodness, you are a delight. I love it when you enter a room. Or some kids, they expect it when they do something bad or they're not in line with stuff, and they expect you to just say, oh my goodness, why are you like this? But if you respond with something like, wow, that was a new way of doing this, you're delightful. I just wish you could have done this. It's okay, but maybe next time try this instead. But keep reminding them of how great they are, because that voice will stick in the mind. The voice that tells them, oh my goodness, why are you like this? And then they go back and they're like, oh no, why am I like this? Or they make a mistake and they're like, why am I like this? Why can't I do anything right? Another thing is the culture and the community. Peace talked about this too. Our culture is wonderful. And believe me, everyone has a way of creating their own culture. Culture is what? The way of life of doing things. So what is your culture? Culture in the home. What is the culture? Culture in the environment. And what's the community like? What's the community saying to you? What are you internalizing from that community? What messages have you received about who you should be? And the next one is media. Are you constantly seeing images of what success should look like, of who you should look like? Sometimes we get into a new space. It's not like you plan it. You get into a new space and your natural body just wants to be in that space in such a way that it blends in so badly. You don't plan it, but you're in a place where people are speaking with an accent, and it's not planned. Your accent changes by itself. It's not like you have planned it, and it's usually very bad, because if you haven't planned it and you haven't grown into it, the accent becomes very weird. And you're talking and you're like, what am I even saying? And then it worsens what is happening with you. So community has a way of tampering with that inner voice. So this is why we're here. The practical steps. How can we take control of that voice, whether it's the loud one or the quiet one that's there playing around in the head and saying things. It could say things that you love to hear, things that will make you better, and then it could also say things that could take someone through a rabbit hole. The first step is to recognize the voice. Try to identify that voice. Start noticing what your inner voice is saying. Write it down when it gets loud. This is what many of us don't do. We don't write. We need to write it down. What is this voice saying? When you see it, it's easier to deal with a thing when you see it than when it's playing around. When those negative thoughts get in, write them down. You cannot change what you do not notice. If you haven't seen it, you haven't noticed it, it's difficult to change it. Write it down first. Then secondly, question it. You ask questions. Is this true about me? Oh, I can't do anything right. Oh, really? Is this true? Yesterday, how many things did I do wrongly? How many times did I make mistakes? Maybe it was just that one mistake. Okay, I broke the plates, yes. And I'm sorry, I have apologized. I've been grounded. What punishments do we have these days? Do we even punish our kids anymore? Somebody is looking at me with one. Do we even punish them anymore? Like, if you break plates, people make mistakes. I remember when I was growing up, and it wasn't me. I know I broke a lot of plates, but this story is not about me breaking plates. It's about somebody else who broke plates. And it was my sister. And my mom had this set. Let me just try to see if I can create that picture in your head. The plates looked pretty much like white backgrounds with blue designs. You know those plates? Not Pyrex, I don't even know the brand, but they were white background, and then they had blue designs, and all those very fine plates in those days. My mom had sets and sets of them. And one of my sisters, who was trying to be very diligent, she's that person who cleans an environment. She walks into this place and then she tells you it's not clean enough. And she said she wanted to organize that cupboard. Oh, my sister went there, and she just put all the plates together. She wanted to lift them from where they were to clean the cupboard, and she carried them, and I don't know what happened. They broke, all the plates. And when they broke, I wasn't there, but I heard the crash. So I got there, and she was like, she broke the plates. And my mom came, she was shouting, hey, why did you break all the plates? Who sent you? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And after talking, she didn't abuse her. She didn't say anything negative to her. She was just like, why? Why did you do this? I didn't send you. Oh my God, all my plates, all this. And she stopped. And my mom looked at her and she said, what were you trying to do? She said she was trying to clean the place. She said, okay, let's clean. And that was it. There was no flogging, as would have happened in many places. There was nothing like that. There was no negative word. But believe me, every year that we needed plates, we would be reminded that we had so many plates and those plates were no more because something happened. There will be no name calling. No name calling, but we'll be like, we need plates. How many plates do we need? 20. Hey, and I had all these plates before. In fact, they were all in that place. Do you know what happened? They were all there. I had this one, I had that one. All the reference would always be there. No name calling. So you won't say that they're saying this about someone, but you know the story. Now, why am I saying this? It's important that we are careful about what we say to these young people. Their minds are soil. Anything you say, they just grab, keep it there. Grab, keep it there. Some of those seeds will not even germinate until later. Some will germinate immediately. We need to be very careful. My sister still remembers the story. My sister bought lots of plates for my mom. The story is still there, but this time the story is like we're talking about something that happened in the past and we're all laughing about it. But it happened, right? It was a learning curve. And it was something that forever I will remember because my mom did not use negative words. She was just asking questions. Why? Of course, those questions were rhetorical. Nobody could answer any of those questions. And then the third point, the third step is replace those lies. Remember, now you have questioned them, right? Question those inner thoughts and then replace those lies with the truth. Affirm yourself. Sometimes our young people don't even know where to start from. They don't know how to say, I'm great, I'm this. In fact, this thing called imposter syndrome that makes, I try to personalize imposter syndrome and call it a person because it just comes and embodies another individual. You get into a place, you are great, you are smart, you're naturally good, you can speak well, and then you walk into a place, and just because people there are not accepting enough, or they have said something that is not, that does not make you feel good about yourself, then you embody that person, the imposter, and then think you're not good enough. You are good enough. If at home you talk very well, believe me, if you manage yourself well, you can talk well outside. If at home you are able to think and manage situations, believe me, when you step outside, even if that voice is telling you you can't do it, you will be able to do it. And the way you can do it is by affirming yourself. I'm not talking about fake positivity. I'm not talking about trying to pretend. Somebody says, fake it till you make it. I leave the rest unsaid. But I'm not talking about the fake ones. I'm talking about you looking at yourself and seeing that person that God created, the person that is beautifully and wonderfully made, the person who is able to do all things because he or she has been given that personal and that innate ability to do all things correctly. So instead of, I'm not smart enough, say I'm learning. I may not get it all right now, but I'm learning. I'm trying to do this thing. And I've overcome hard things before, so I can do this one. If, as a child, you couldn't read at a point, and then after a while you could read, and then you couldn't just read small books, you were beginning to read, novels and hard words, what is it that you can't do? Believe me, crossing that point from not being able to read at all as a child to that point where you are able to read is one of the biggest hurdles a child can cross. So instead of saying, nobody likes me, oh, I'm in a class and nobody's talking to me, it happens a lot with our kids. They get into school and then they're just by themselves most of the time because nobody's really talking to them, or they don't even know how to talk to them, or they don't understand their accent, or so many reasons. Tell yourself, I have people who care, and I can build new connections. As they're looking at you, that you're looking different. You too, you're looking at them, that they're looking different. Everybody is different. We're all trying to get to a point where we understand each other. And next step is practice self-compassion. Self-compassion. What's self-compassion? Self-compassion is loving yourself. Love yourself. Don't punish yourself. Peace talked about cutting of the body and punishing yourself. Sometimes not wanting to eat. Sometimes saying you're depriving yourself because you feel you're not good enough. And so if people outside are not punishing you, you decide that you want to punish yourself. You need to love yourself. Would you speak to your best friend the way you speak to yourself? If you wouldn't, then you need to change it. You are allowed to be kind to yourself. You're progressing. You are working towards perfection. You may not be there yet, but you will get there. And sometimes the inner voice is echoing noise around us. We need to surround ourselves with voices that uplift. If you're in the space with someone, maybe in your classroom or anywhere, and the person is always putting you down, it's time to change friends. It's time to change that circle. Anyone who is saying negative things to you, oh, you're too fat. I really don't understand the definition of fat. I don't know. Because God created all of us differently. Some have big bones. And so no matter what you eat, you're still going to be big boned, and your flesh will need to cover your body, unless you want to carry your bones like that without the flesh, so that you will say you're not fat. Being fat is relative. So if people are telling you you're fat, and because of that you're not eating, you need to rethink those people in your space. Those people do not deserve to be in your space. I wanted to say praise the Lord just now. So it's easier to believe in yourself when you're surrounded by healthy. I like to tell myself and people around me that I am a positivity freak. I love positivity. Once I start hearing things like, oh, you're too tall. There was a time I walked into a space and I seemed to be the tallest person in that place. In my house, I'm like almost the shortest. And so in that space, I appeared to be towering over people. And somebody walked up to me and said, you're so tall. I was like, huh? So that tells us what? That these thoughts, whatever people are saying to us, is relative. It's based on their own perception. That is them. That's what they're thinking. It may not be your reality. In that place, I was like the tallest person. In real life, I don't know. All right. I'm tall, right? Thank you. I feel so happy right now. So to the young people here today, you're still discovering your inner voice. But that means you have the power to shape it. I mentioned 5 things, right? Well, 4 things that you can do, the 4 steps. The first one is, who can remember the first one? What's the first one? Recognize. Awesome. Recognize the voice. Some people were listening. Thank you, ma'am. Recognize the voice. Second one is what? Question the voice. When you have identified the voice, you need to question it. Ask it questions. Oh, you're telling me I'm not smart. Really? Did I not do this? Did I not do that? How is it that I am no longer smart? I am smart. I am intelligent. I am brainy. Use all the adjectives you want to use. Tell yourself who you believe that you are. What's the third point? Third step? You whispered it. What's the third one? replace the lies with truth. Once you have questioned it, now that lie, you have to replace it with the truth. And the fourth one is what? Practice self-compassion. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love the person that you're becoming. And to the parents and guardians, I have plenty for you, but I'm not going to say it today. But to you, be mindful of the messages you're passing on. Children may forget what you say, exactly the way you say it. You may say, oh, she said something like this, but I know that it was painful. They remember how you made them feel. They will forget the exact words. Some will even remember if it's just maybe one short phrase that they use, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Your inner voice, your own voice, becomes their own inner voice. And let me end with this. Every day we are writing the story of our lives. We may not control every chapter, but we can influence the narrator. And remember, the narrator is who? The inner voice. We can influence that narrator, so we need to choose that voice that speaks life, the voice that speaks hope and truth, and the voice that speaks courage. Let it sound like this. So I'm going to say some words, and then you will repeat these words after me. And I need to see some conviction. If I don't feel it, if I'm not connected to your conviction, then I'll know that you don't believe what you're saying to yourself. Remember, you're saying it to yourselves. Okay, so let it sound like this. I'm doing the best I can. Are you? I'm doing the best I can. I am worthy of love and healing. I am worthy. See, you have to love me. No, not that kind of love anyway. But you need to love me because I'm worthy of it. I'm worthy of love and I'm worthy of healing. If before now I haven't felt loved, I feel that love now, and I feel the healing that is coming from the love, not only of the people around me, not only of myself, but the love of God. I am growing. Are you growing? I am growing. Can you visualize it? What do you see in your head, in your mind's eye? Someone is saying a tree. I'm growing. I'm growing. And that's enough for me. I'm growing. Let's say it together. I'm growing, and that's enough for me. Awesome. And so you deserve a better author of your narrative. And that author is you. The author is you. You can rewrite that story. You know, there's another part of it that says there's faith, and there's so many other things that can help you work on that inner mind and that inner voice. And I pray that we will pay attention, we will take control, and let our inner voice be our ally and not our enemy. Thank you. As a teacher, I do have a worksheet. I'm sorry. I'm not apologizing, but I'm still apologizing. I have a worksheet. If you're interested, I'll hand it over to Peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause. Wow. That was really powerful. So we have one more speaker for you, and then we're going to get into our panelists. I hope everybody is ready also to answer questions too. It's supposed to be open dialogue, open conversation, and then we'll get into the birthday celebration. Thank you all. I would like to introduce Mrs. Eunice Oderinde to come and give us our final speech about inner voice. Round of applause. All the way to the stage.
Thank you, the convener of this event. It's a well-needed event. We need this in our community in a time like this. And thank you for putting this together. And happy birthday. I didn't know today is Sister Titi's birthday. Happy birthday to you, sis. And I want us to put our hands together for the speakers before me. Please, and my sister. Let's put our hands together for them again. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Those were inspiring, educative, informative. And I want us to do something because we've been sitting for almost 90 minutes. So I want us to rise on our feet. And I would like you to put your phone in your pockets. Look at mine. Mine is in my pocket. If you don't have a pocket, put it on your seat. So can everyone put their phones in their pockets or on their seats? Everyone. Your phone in your pockets or on your seats. I want us to do something. If you want, you can close your eyes. Sometimes we say we hear voices, but then we don't have time to actually process those voices. I want us to do this exercise and not limit it to hear, so that when you are by yourself, you can use this strategy to process that thought. So you can do it sitting down and all of that, but because we've been sitting, that's why I ask us to stand. So to help you focus, so that you will not be looking at me and watching me and see if my phone is still in my pocket, you can close your eyes. I want you to pay attention to your body, from the hair on your head. How does your head feel right now? What's going on top of your head? Do you have any sensation going on? I want you to go to your face. What are you feeling there? And your neck. You can turn your neck to the right and to the left. Any aches, and front and back. Do you have any sensation going on in your neck? Any pain going on there? Slight pain. I want you to pay attention to that slight pain if you have any discomfort there. So if I'm having slight pain in my neck, what could be responsible for that? Where is this slight ache coming from? I want you to just answer that in your mind. If you have any aches in your neck, I want you to reflect. Where could this ache or pain be coming from? Is it from my pillow? Did I hyperextend my neck in an attempt to take something from the shelf? Did I hurt my neck in the past few days? I want you to reflect on that and walk yourself to your chest. Any discomfort, any pain, and while you are focusing on what's going on in your chest, I want you to take a deep breath in and hold it. Now let it out slowly. Deep breath in. Hold it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go slowly. Okay. And now Let's walk our way to the belly. Any rumbling, any aches, any feeling of indigestion going on in your stomach. And if you have any symptoms going on, I want you to take a moment to think about the source of that symptom. I want you to take your arm one after the other and swing slowly. So now I'm swinging my right arm. So when you swing, it also goes to your shoulder, right? So what's going on in your shoulder? Any discomfort, any pain going on there? So pay attention to it. Where could this ache be coming from? Did I hurt my shoulder? What happened? And then walk your way to your back. I want you to turn a little bit to one side and switch and turn a little bit to the other side. Do you feel anything in your back? What's going on there? Pay attention to it. And walk your way to your buttocks and what's going on there. Go to your thighs, calf, your toes. I want you to wiggle your toes inside your shoes. Do you have any sensation going on there? And overall, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling today? Are you feeling awesome? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling good? How are you feeling? Are you feeling worried? And when you answer that question to yourself, how are you feeling? I want you to take a moment to reflect on the part of your body that is telling you this is how you feel, right? So what part of your body is telling you, is answering you that, yeah, I feel okay, or I feel this. And now I want you to take another deep breath in, hold it, and let it go slowly. Okay. And now you can take your seat.
Thank you.
So what we just did is called body scan. So it's one of those numerous things that you can do to help your body relax. It's called body scan. So you scan your body from head to toe. And when you notice any tension in any part of your body, take some deep breath and see if it goes away, right? If it doesn't go away, then you can think of where could the source be? Where is this pain coming from? What did I do? Did I lay funny on one side, or what happened? Okay, so we've been talking about inner voice. And I brought the brain. So why are we having inner voice? Because the brain remembers. The brain remembers everything. And the source of inner voice are from 5 places. Sight, your eyes. Hearing, what you hear, right? And my 2 sisters that spoke before me talk about what other people say about us. Whether you are a child, whether you are an adult, what you hear is, it's not you that want to remember it, but that's how the brain works. So when you hear anything nasty, or you see something traumatic, or you smell something unpalatable, or you taste something bad, or you feel something, maybe someone hurt you or something like that, your brain will remember. And it could have happened 10 years ago, or even today or yesterday. The brain still keep counts. So when we go to bed at night, your brain will attempt to process all those memories, all those bad memories. So if your brain processes it well, you will wake up in the morning, nothing will happen. You will go by your day, go to school or go to work. And if anything close to that event happened or is about to happen, you won't get triggered in any way. But if the brain did not process it well, that's when you have all those negative thoughts, because you've been exposed to something unpleasant and your brain did not process it well, and it keeps remembering. And when it remembers, you use the back of the brain instead of the front parts. So the front part of the brain is where we reason. This is our logical reasoning side. So when we have bad experiences, somebody says something to you, and you can't get that thoughts away from your head, you are using this part of your brain, the alarm system. So we call it the alarm system of the brain. That is where the fights, the flight, and the freeze zone. So when you hear fight and flight, that's the part, yeah. So if anything happens to you and you find that you get, wait a minute, I want to draw a picture to make us understand better. So everyone has this glass, right? I call it a glass of stress. So whatever was said to you, or you see, or you smell, it goes in here, right? So I want to make this illustration to make what I was trying to explain there clear. So you saw something you shouldn't have seen, it fills up. You hear something that doesn't sound good to you, something that puts you down, something that does not elevate you, make you feel good, it fills up, right? Maybe somebody taught you in a way that you don't like, or they hit you, bullies in school, it fills up. Right? School is becoming stressful. There's a lot. I'm in sports. I am in 3 sports, and I'm having trouble with math. It fills up. Right? So what's going to happen when it continues to fill up? What's going to happen? For parents, bills. They are giving me trouble at work. I have so many bills to pay, right? What's going to happen when it fills up? People are not answering. Okay, so it's going to overflow, right? So when it overflows, that's when people will react in different ways. Some of those symptoms or actions that the previous speakers mentioned, that's when it happened. Some people, they just flip. They are angry. All right? If you find that you are getting angry easily, it is something to look at. And you can't get that thoughts out of your mind. You're just angry. To some kids, they might become aggressive. And that's why you see bullies in school. Bullies are not happy kids. So it is not you, it is them. And I won't ask you to raise your hands if you have been bullied before. Many people here have been bullied. But I don't want to put our kids on the spot. So when you experience bullying in school, I want you to know that you are not the problem. I hope children are listening. So if you have ever been bullied, or you go back to school in September and some kids are not nice to you, it's not your fault. It is not your fault. They are unhappy. Their glass is filled up, and they don't know how to deal with it. So they are projecting. There are kids who need help, but they don't know how to ask for help. So bullies want you to be a little, so they can have that control over you. They can feel that, yes, I may not have control over other things, but I have some kids in school that I can overpower, right? So they want to play on you. They want to instill fear in you so that they can feel good. They can have that sense of control. That's what bullies do. So some kids, like Peace mentioned, they can start self-harming. Adults do it too. To some, their anxiety will become through the roof. To some, they withdraw into their shell. They go into their room. They don't want to come out. They are depressed. And to some, they might actually use substance or alcohol. And when this is done, we know what's going to happen. When people are high, right? Some will get DUI. Some may injure other people. Some may kill because of their substance use. And we have seen people go to jail, all because of all of this. The glass of strength as it's filled up. So when this is going on, right, that's when people use the alarm system of their brain. The fight, or flight, or freeze. So some people, the way they cope is just withdraw. They freeze. They go numb, right? So now what can we do? What can you and I do, whether you are a child or a parent, to drain this glass? So if we say we want to dump it at once, what's going to happen? So if I just take the glass, let's break the glass, or let's just dump it, what's going to happen? So all of this will spill out at once, right? But if we say, let's drain it safely, whether we like it or not, stress is part of life. As you are getting out of one stress, there is another. And there are good stress. Stress, keep you on your toes. With stress, you get creative. You can get creative with stress. You can get smarter, wiser, more experience with stress. So when you hear those inner voices telling you, well, there's a bully, this boy will not let me be, he's always running after me in recess, I will fight back. No, that's not the way to handle it. You don't want to handle it that way. You can challenge it, like my sister said. Your brain is an object, is part of you that you can retrain. So when your brain tells you to go fight that boy, that is what the boy wants, or the girl. So the bully wants you to fight them so that you can get in trouble. So it's your choice to say, no, I'm not going to stoop low to your level. What I'm going to do is stand firm and be bold and tell you to your face, stop. And parents, I want you to empower your children. Empower them, build up their self-confidence. We are not training children to go to school and cause problem and go physical and fight people. So we train children to be able to stand up for themselves in the midst of bullies and say, you need to stop. So when the bully sees that you are strong enough, you can face them, give them that eye contact. Because you say, stop, don't do that. The bully will not stop because they caught you, they know you are weak, they notice the shakiness in your voice, that you are not assertive. But when you are assertive, you stand tall and say, no way. So let's teach our children to be bold. And building their self-confidence is a way to do so, which other speakers have mentioned. So training the children, affirming them, telling them they are doing well. 100% is good, but not every child will get 100%. Don't let it be only the time you celebrate your child is when they bring 100%. Even we adults, do we get 100% in everything? You are perfect. No one has ever made mistake here before. No. And another thing I want parents to know is don't project your failed, unfulfilled dream or failed attempt at something on your child. What do I mean by that? Maybe you wanted to be an engineer and the jump just dropped you, bam. And you couldn't be an engineer. And now you are projecting that on the child that you should be an engineer because you want to be called the father or the mother of an engineer. No, that's not right. So your child has their own God-given destiny. So let them pursue that and let them be who God wants them to be. So self-confidence. If they are in sport, go. Take them to their sport. Don't just drop them and go somewhere else. Be there to watch. Cheer them on. So if you do that for your child, no child will be able to come and drag your child away from you. Because nowadays we are seeing peer-oriented children. And when you allow their peers to be the parents, then it will be like the blind leading the blind. So you need to collect your children back from their friends. It's not about competition. Everyone has their role to play. Can I shock you? It takes up until age 25 for the brain to be fully developed. So parenting is for life. So if your child comes to you for one thing or another, give it to them, support them, and help them to build their way into independence. So yes, the goal of every parent is to have independent children. That is what we want, right? But they still need us, whether they are young adults or adults, your child will still need you. Right? So please, what can we do to drain this? How many more minutes do I have? 5. Okay. So what are some of those things that we can do to drain this safely so that we will not be having negative inner thoughts or inner voice? I want answers from this row. What can you do to drain this glass of negative inner thoughts? Okay, so I will put therapy here. Okay, what else can we do? From this row, please.
To have self-confidence.
Self-confidence. Okay. Any other person?
Self-evaluation.
Okay. Self-evaluation. So what we did when we first started, we did some body scan. You can do compassion break exercise. So compassion break exercise is like that body scan, which I don't have time to demonstrate. So in compassion break exercise, you reflect on what's going on for you. You place yourself in a safe place, and then you breathe. You tell yourself good things. Yes, I may be struggling now, but I know that I will make it. I can do this. I will be kind to myself. I will be loving to myself. I'll be compassionate to myself. You can do that. And what else? Speak up. Talk to your parent. I want children to talk to their parents. And I want parents to also check in with your child every day. I used to do something when my children were young. The first week of school, I don't go to work. That's when I take my vacation. I have 4 weeks vacation per year. I will take 1 week that time, or even 2 weeks, so that I will see them go to school. They will come back and meet me at home. And then we will have conversation. So all those difficult things that may happen in school, we have discussion about it. Make it a routine. Make sure someone is available for adults, for your child to talk to when they come back from school. Because some of them, it is that time that they need someone, when it's hot, to talk to. And it may not be feasible for everybody, but be creative. Find a way whereby you can have that connection with your child. Daily check-in is very important. So I better stop now before they collect the mic. So they said so many things. And therapy is one of the things that you can do. If you are struggling, you have applied everything that we talk about today, and you are still struggling with inner voices, negative inner voices, that's the time to seek professional help. And if you have not filled out the survey at the desk, please, if you are a parent or a child, stop by the desk. And you don't need to put your name. We are doing a study. Just answer one question is what we have on the card. Answer that one question. Parents, answer one. If you are a child, do one. If you are an older child, please, I want you to still do it. Thank you so very much.
Wow, thank you. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Did we learn something? Wow. I learned a lot. Are we ready to learn from people in the audience now? Yes? I'm going to call for my 2 helpers in the back that are talking to each other to help with the chairs. My brother help with the chairs. We're going to move some chairs around so that we can sit. If you are one of the panelists, I'm going to call on you to come and sit over in here. I'll be facilitating the questions, and also bringing some also for the audience. We need to move this too. So give us a little bit. I'm going to call for Mrs. Toby Oyedele. Oh, in the washroom. Dr. John Owojori. Well, Dr. John Owojori is coming. Sister Titilayo will also be coming in too. And then, so that will be for the parent perspective. Thank you. Let's just sit down. And then we now have, from the youth perspective, we'll be having Smart. Wow, clap, clap, clap. Tammy? Oh, there we go. Thank you. And I think that's everyone, except if Israel is here. Okay. Okay. We're just missing. They're in the back. Okay. We'll give a little moment. A round of applause for our panelists over here. We're going to get started. I think I'll direct some of the questions to you guys while we wait for the other panelists. Okay? It's going to be short, 20 minutes before we get into all of the festivities. But I think that it's important to open it or finish it off with these questions. Who? Oh, sorry. Please. That's on me. I didn't write it down. Okay. Thank you for coming out. I'm going to start with this question, and it's going to be for everyone. How do you know when your mental health needs attentions? What are the signs your inner voice gives you? And with that, what helps you calm or refocus your mind when your thoughts feel heavy or overwhelming? So I'm going to start over here, and you can pass the mic.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. My name is Smart Obiarije. And can I get you to rephrase the question?
Yes, I can. So let's start with this one. How do you know when your mental health needs attention?
That's a very brilliant question. Okay. If your mental health is a pattern, and if there is a kind of fluctuation, that means it's not going in the right pattern, right? So if you feel anything negative within you, you say you've been this type of person that is always positive, and all of a sudden you start feeling that, oh, you cannot do this, or you need to, work on yourself. It could be positive, it could be negative. But once you start feeling a kind of bridge on the pattern, then it's a way to show that something is happening within you. And how do you get over this? Sometimes you can develop activities, right, for yourself. For example, I have several guitars in my place. And when I feel like I'm down, I see myself grabbing one and playing and being happy at that moment. So what's happening to me is I am working on myself at that moment. I'm trying to overcome whatever that is going on within me. Then my brain starts functioning a bit better. Because if I'm being burdened, I won't be productive. I hope that helps.
Yes, that helps. Well, thank you. Thank you. For the rest of the panelists, again, what makes you know that your mental health needs attention, and how do you try to overcome any of the negative thoughts in your head? And you can just go down the line.
Okay.
My name is Bello Haruna Israel. How do you know your mental health needs attention? First, you check your relationship with people around you. Sometimes you that is friendly can be toxic. So you know that there's something is really wrong with you. Another area, again, if you are a student, maybe everybody have a capacity. Sometimes you can study for an hour, you discover that you struggle for 20 minutes. You know that something is wrong. How can you correct this? Sometimes you need to rest. Rest is required. That's the first thing. Second thing, we individuals, we are different. Sometimes you just need to play songs, inspirational songs, motivational songs. It helps you to regain your strength back. Another thing you can do is sports, if you're a sport person. And another thing again that you can do, you can talk to someone, a mentor. That is why I advise people to always have a mentor. Whatever you are going through, somebody must have gone through that before, and somebody must have come out of it before, and you definitely come out of it.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Okay, my name is Tim Lulu. I'll just do a quick introduction. I'm a registered nurse, and by calling, I am a catalyst and equiper, meaning that through my words, whether I'm speaking or writing, I'm inspiring young adults to pursue a life of purpose and intentionality. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here, and thank you to the convener. So for the question about how do you know your mental health needs attention, I would say that your actions should tell you. So if you notice that you're very cranky, constantly snapping, then that means that you need to check and say what's going on within me. And when I notice that I get that way or I'm stressed out, then I say, okay, what's happening? What did I listen to? What has happened over the last couple of days that's making me feel this way? I generally would unplug from everything. So one of the things that refreshes me is to spend time in solitude. So I listen to myself. So I unplug from social media, I turn off my phone and just spend time quietly, take a slower pace. As you know, as you work maybe 7:30 to 7:30 at night, so 12-hour shifts. So if it's a day that I'm off, I would just start the day slower. So take my time, sleep in, and then from there I'm able to have a better grasp of my time and go from there. Yeah.
That's great. Identifying when your mental health needs attention. I have like 5 pointers. The first one is when you begin to feel sad. You're just sad. You don't even know why. You're sad, you feel lonely. Then another thing is that you feel heavy. You just feel like you're just tired all the time. You don't know why. Your body feels heavy, as in the body itself feels heavy. It feels like it can't move. That's another way that you can identify that. And then withdrawing from people, like someone mentioned. You're withdrawing from people. You don't want to be in other people's space. You just want to be by yourself. Then you already know that the mental health is crying for help. Another thing is losing interest in the things that you once loved, things that give you joy. Sometimes some people love to watch movies, and all of a sudden you don't even love to watch those. You don't even want to sit down and do that. You just want to sit down and just not even think, because nothing is happening in the head. You're just there, you're not happy, you're not sad, or you're sad rather, but you don't feel anything. There's no basic feeling. Then you know that the mental health needs a lot of attention. Yeah.
Thank you, sister. Yeah. Yeah, so many of the things that I wanted to say has been said, but I'll just, like being easily irritable, is something that we need to pay attention to. But also what was coming to my head is, like it's almost like a pattern, like if you see a pattern, it's consistent. So it's not just a one-time thing, like because we all get tired, sometimes I don't want to talk to anybody. No, not continuously, and you knowing yourself. So if you know that this is not me, so that means you must know yourself to know that. If you're an introvert person, like if you're introverted, you don't want to talk, you usually don't enjoy, people as such. That doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It's just that that's who you are. But if you're an extroverted person, you enjoy companies, but over a period of time, you start seeing that you're withdrawing little by little, or maybe even abruptly, or like just stuff like that. We need to pay attention. And solution has been suggested. Take a rest. Sometimes it might even be if you can't take a vacation. Take a staycation, like my sister said. Just withdraw. Take time to pour into yourself. Like for me, I like listening to positive. Like YouTube is free. I like listening to things that builds me over and over. And music, but yourself. It's not a one size fit all. It's just paying attention and knowing yourself, what works for you. And if you've done everything that you think, you would normally do, and it's still not working, like our last speaker said, reach out to a professional, to help you. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
is a train. Thank you so much. Wonderful way to start the conversation. I'm now going to direct the questions to specific groups. I think I have 3 questions that I would really love your input on. So for Smart, Israel, and Tammy, for you 3, I would love for you to answer, considering, the culture that we are in. That could be culture as in, being African, being Canadian. That could be the culture. Or being, a nurse, or being a university student, or being in the world as it is. Considering your culture, how are emotions or mental health generally expressed or kept hidden? And how have you found your way integrating those spaces of how mental health has been, erased or brought into light based on your culture? Does that question kind of, yeah? Who would like to start? You?
Okay, when we talk about culture, we talk about way of life, right? And the irony of things is we always have a specific way we think things should go. If you're coming from the African background, you know that your parents expect you to behave in a certain way. And you also expect yourself to be in that line, not to do something else, right? And over time, you see yourself growing with that attitude. Then going back, if you find yourself in another community or another culture, you find it difficult to adjust and adapt, right? So I think it's a critical aspect of our growing up and a critical aspect of our life, right? Now, it's very important for even parents and children to pay attention to culture. Like you see some parents come to Canada with their children, and then they start growing here, they start feeling this culture. But we still want to impose that African culture into them without understanding them, without understanding that they are growing up in a different culture or in a different background or in a different community, right? So I think it's highly important to understand where you are. First of all, understand your culture, and then identify things that are not going rightly in your culture. And how do you know? Things that work positively for you. You can't do what everybody's doing. It's okay to say no, sometimes. And if you see yourself going in a direction that you're not very happy going, it's okay to also pause and take another direction, no matter what your culture says, no matter what your tradition is saying, right? So identify your culture and see if that suits your fancy, and see if you need to redirect yourself, and see if you can be more productive doing something else, right?
Thank you, Smart. I think the way we have to look at it still varies from individual to individual. For me, and coming from Africa to this side of the world, there are things I understand in my culture which is quite different from what I met here. For instance, I get to my office where I used to work. I go around to tell my manager, "Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma," and everybody answers me. I get to a new environment here. The first week I resume, I told my director, "Good morning, sir." He looks at me as if, "What is this one saying?" Another day, I see an elderly woman pushing a cart in my office. In my culture, you can't be sitting down as a young person and you see an elderly person pushing something. And in my culture, if you don't help that person, they might give you a knock on your head. Here I am, I needed to assist this woman. She said, "No, this is my job. Don't take my job away from me." That's another thing that shocked me here. So I believe that every culture have its own uniqueness. We have to, no matter where you are coming from, your own culture, if you come to another environment, there are some things that are unique. Look for those ones that are unique, embrace them. Those that you see that they don't align with your own culture, trying to see how you can drop them and focus on those ones that will help you. Because every day I keep saying things that I am not used to, but I'm still adjusting to date. So generally, I said it varies from individual to individual. So even today, my elder brother called me from Nigeria. I just said, good morning. He said, hey? Meaning that I'm trying to still manage the sir and the ma. It's something that this is the way I was brought up. So now I'm in a new environment where I have to be careful when I'm talking to somebody back home and when I'm talking to somebody in my office. I have to see how I can manage that. It's one of the challenging things I'm facing here. So sometimes they are kind of food again. I'm not used to them in Africa. And I see some people eating it in my office, and it's as if I'm avoiding them. No, I don't know how to eat it. I'm being careful not to eat something I don't know how to eat so that I won't vomit. So I will still try to see how I can manage. If it look good on my face, I can just pick it and test if it's okay, if it go down well with me. So it's different from individual to individual.
Okay, so the question is, considering your culture, how are emotions and mental health generally expressed? So in the African culture, where I feel like most people are here based off of your skin color, or Caribbean culture, I think that generally we're not taught to express our feelings. We're not taught to show our emotions. You know, if you argue with your parents or have a different opinion, you're either considered rude or even an older person in general. It's the culture that we grew up in. But if you have your kids here, they're very assertive. If you talk to a child who's 3 years old, they will need to tell you, no, I don't like it. Why? They're very, very assertive, and that's something that they've grown up with. So I think that in the case that as immigrants, when we're here, we have to approach things with our kids with curiosity. So when they ask us questions, rather than shut them down, it is saying, what are they trying to learn? What can I teach them in that moment? I don't have kids, but I do have a goddaughter, and when I spend time with her, oh my God, why, Auntie Timmy, are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What? And I'm just like rolling my eyes like, are you kidding me? But I remember that I need her to be able to feel safe to tell me a lot of things. So I'm always saying, okay, who told you that? Where did you learn that from? What does that mean to you? So I'm engaging her curiosity, whether she's telling me things that are off point or not, but I'm able to bring it back and then in that moment teach her a lesson as well. So I think that as immigrant parents in a new city, especially if this is where that you give birth to your kids and they're from 0 to 10, if maybe after 10, you had them in Nigeria, you moved, they might already have had that formative, especially because back home it's community-based parenting, but here it's more an individualistic type of society. So I would say that you just have to make sure that you're creating a safe space for your children to actually learn to express their feelings, because when they go to work, you want them to be able to speak up. If they don't speak up, they wouldn't get promoted. If they don't speak up, nobody's going to look at them. So you need to be able to teach them to be safe with you. And that is, rather than shutting down their many questions, rather than when they're expressing something that's different from what, you can't talk back to your parents in a certain way if you grew up back home. But that world that you grew up in does not exist anymore. We're in a different world. So you have to always approach your, create a safe space for your children and always make sure that you listen to them. And then also when they're curious, keep answering their questions.
Thank you. Those are very beautiful. And honestly, I don't know how we would have answered it any better. I think it's something really amazing about being in Canada of all places, because every day we're learning from different cultures, and we're navigating how we express ourselves in all of those places. For you two, I would love, when I wrote these questions, I felt like you two would have good thoughts for it. What does a healthy, culturally rooted, emotionally honest family sound like or look like to you? Like if you could think of your ideal world if you wanted your ideal way that the kids reacted, or even if it's a family dinner that you would say, what does a with all of the thoughts that you have given us today about mental health and about being, like looking at the world in that way, what does a ideal family situation based on your culture look like to you? I hope that wasn't too much.
You want to go first?
Go ahead.
All right. A healthy, mentally sound family, right? What it looks like to me. It looks like love. It looks like laughter. I love environments where people they're free to be themselves, where someone can feel like he or she is heard, is seen, and is fully known. I'm trying to visualize here. Okay. A mentally sound home, for me, is a place where family values are honored and they're also valued. In my home, we have our family values. We have 5 of them, and we strive to abide. If anything happens, we ask a question: does this thing align with the family values? Where does this action fall? And if it doesn't fall there, then we begin to question it. Why did it happen? How did it happen? So for me, a mentally sound environment has a place for honoring the family values, and we can achieve that through open communication. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sis. Perfect. Yeah. As an immigrant, in the context of immigrants, in this case, we are Africans and, maybe any other culture, but as immigrants generally, we, as parents, we want to, being in Canada, we want to kind of marry, both culture into, into our relationship, into our family. Whether we like it or not, like Tammy said, the culture, the Nigerian, our own upbringing, we cannot absolutely replicate that here. There are so many constraints. So mental health is not something that we really talk about or we really acknowledge back home, especially when we were growing up. Now it's coming into the mainstream, but we did not know. But now, as an African Canadian, as a family, mental health, especially with our children, is extremely important. So how do we see mental health in the ideal in the family? For me, it's where the children, because again, it's children, the parents are, we have the power over them, we always say there's the power imbalance, there will always be. But as for children, most importantly for the children, it's a family where each individual child's uniqueness is recognized, celebrated, and supported. So, their uniqueness, I'm not comparing this is Mr. A's child and that's how my own child should be, because then that's stress, on the child. So recognizing that children are individual beings and they have their own feelings and emotion, and we pay attention to that, even as Africans, as immigrants. So we celebrate their uniqueness, we celebrate their contribution, and in the family, the children know that they are seen, they are heard, and also their needs are well met, including their mental health. So they are able to speak out without fear of consequences, right? So they are not afraid to speak out. You can correct them in love. Oh, you shouldn't have said this. You saying this makes me feel like this. So I, as a mother, is modeling to the children how they're supposed to express themselves in a loving way, but being very cognizant that our children go out there and they are facing a whole lot. So we are not putting so much more on them as immigrant parents. So paying attention and celebrating their uniqueness and letting them have a healthy and safe outlet within the family to be able to express themselves without fear of consequence. Yeah.
This is thank you. That was absolutely beautiful. And, we inspire to be that in the future and in now. This is Lighten Round 1. Before we now take it to the audience, if any person has questions or wants to answer a question, you can go 1 to 10, and I'll ask you a question. But this is Lighten Round, meaning that, well, it can mean whatever you want it to mean. But mostly the question is, what advice would you give your younger self? So if a younger version of yourself was standing in front of you, what advice would you give them? And they can be as young as you want, if they are 1 year old too.
That's a very practical question. Okay, I think one would be to reassure the younger smart, that it's okay to make mistakes. And it's also okay for people not to see you as a good person, right? And then secondly would be, if you have opportunity to learn anything, and you have the time, go ahead and learn that thing, whether or not you're using it at that moment, whether or not you think the thing will be useful for you, right? Because you won't know when you will need that skill. You won't know when you will need that knowledge, right? And then third one would be have a very solid relationship with your creator, right? Look at the good pattern of people. It could be your parents, it could be your mentors, it could be anybody. Anybody you have cited that, oh, I like what this person is doing. Check what they're doing rightly and see how you can employ their own strategy in your personal life. That's it.
If yoga Israel is standing in front of me, I'll let him or her know that even if I'm staying on the face of the earth, or if I'm not here, that he can survive. She believe him or herself, because that is the way Israel grew up, where you are meant to understand that you are a third person in the home. You become someone who is less important. And you can see it practical, and you are going to also see it. People will say it to you, telling you how unuseful you are. But in your closet, when you are alone, speak to yourself. Create positive imagination. Where do you want to see yourself? How are you going to get there? In every association, the people you are going to meet on your way up, look for people who will share the same vision with you. When Israel is not there, there is somebody that will always be there that will tell you the truth. When Israel is not there, when you look up, there is no help. When you look down, there is no help. When you look up, help will come. There is no cross without the blood. You are going to sweat, but always remember, the AC will come one day. It looked impossible to see your dad because your dad went through a lot. People despise him. People look down on him. People insulted him. Israel begged to eat at a point, but remember, if Israel can survive all these odds, you are going to survive better, and the future is going to be bright.
Okay, before I answer that question, I just wanted to speak to the other question about healthy family and mental health. I think that it's important to, even when correcting our kids, to come from a place of love, that even when we do give them consequences for their actions, which I think everybody should have consequences for their actions, but it's important to always say there's love at home. So even if you messed up, when you come back home, even though I'll correct you and tell you did something wrong, but never be afraid to come back home. It's just how God, treats us. Don't run away from me. Come to me with your mess, and I would, lift you from where you are and really show you a picture of how I see you to ensure that you get to that point. And then also knowing when to transition from being a parent to being a friend. I think it's very important to recognize when so at 0 to 10, you parents, you actually don't leave it to other people to parent your kids. You indoctrinate them. If you're a Christian, you teach them the way of the Lord. Don't do that. We don't do that here. But at some point, when they're beginning to get into their preteens and their teens, you start to be their friend. So what's going on? You start to understand what's happening in their world. So it's very important that parents know when to transition from just being authoritative to being companions, and also even knowing when to take a step back and let your kids make the decision, but just guiding them. So yeah, I think that's very important for healthy. To answer the question about what I would tell my younger self, so I would say to try a lot of things. So I'm even thinking what I would tell my daughter, to try a lot of things early. When you're younger, there is more room to fail and not have as much consequences compared to maybe you're 30, there's family, and then there's some decisions you can't just make randomly, some financial mistakes you can't make, there's other people dependent on you, there are other things at stake. So try a lot of things early to discover what you like and what you don't like. Create healthy boundaries. Don't especially if come from an African family and you're a firstborn child, you can be a people pleaser, always taking care of everybody, putting your needs last. So try and create a healthy boundary between caring for people, but also at the same time being able to voice your needs so that you're not holding a lot of resentment. Like, everybody is always doing their own thing, but my own needs are not being met. So it's important that you're also able to create a way to voice out how you're feeling, but at the same time also know that I love my family, but these are the things that I can currently do in creating, so in order to be able to create healthy boundaries. The last thing I would say is to know yourself. I got into personal development quite early, once I was done high school, even still in high school. So very early on, there are certain things I just didn't have interest in doing. I didn't care. They were not fun to me. Even if people were doing it, clubbing, I couldn't be bothered about those. I didn't consider them fun in my own case. So I think it's very important that very early on, I would say to my younger self, which I pretty much did, so obviously to somebody who's younger than me, to get into self-awareness, learn who you are as a person. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. This is what I'm interested in. This is what I know about myself. This is how I want to carry myself. This is how I want to be perceived, and start to make intentional choices from then. Or rather from there. So you basically ask yourself a lot of why questions. So the art of reflection is something I would tell a younger person. Why? So you can ask why no more. Why do I think like that? Why did I respond to that situation like that? Is it something that I learned from my mom? Is it something that I saw my dad do? Why am I interested in writing? What about writing makes me happy? What about my words, give me solace at this time? Why am I currently creating safe spaces for young adults? What am I interested in passing along to them? As you ask yourself those questions, you can discern which thoughts come from your family, which thoughts come from social media, which thoughts are actually your thoughts, which thoughts are aligned with the Word of God, if that's if you're faith-based, things like that. So I think the art of reflection is something that I would definitely recommend every young person gets into pretty much early.
What I'll tell my younger self. My younger self is also my younger self of 2 days ago. I was younger 2 days ago. And I would tell myself, not 2 days ago though, but be more expressive. I mean, when I was younger, I was a super extrovert. Was because I no longer am. And environment has a way of shutting down young girls who are not hyperactive, but very expressive. And environment tells you you shouldn't talk too much in a place. And then when you get married, you need to keep quiet so that your husband is louder, those types of things. So I would tell my younger self, be more expressive. If you're dreaming it, then you can be it. If you want to be something great, you can actually be great without dimming someone else's light. You can shine. The sky is big enough for as many stars as can be there. And that's what I would tell my younger self. Just dream it, be it, express yourself within the confines of God's word. Because I love God. I love the Lord Jesus. So be more expressive, but put some limitations to it that will not allow you to fall into error. That's what I would tell my younger self.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the first thing that I want to say to my younger self is, Titi, you matter. You matter. Every child matters, and our culture usually we don't acknowledge children. But I say to my younger self, you do matter. It's a big foundation that is needed for every child to be able to thrive, even later in life. The second thing is, Titi, you're stronger than you can ever imagine. So I know that you're strong and are very resilient. So put that. Don't be afraid to launch out. Don't be afraid. Don't allow environment or anyone to limit your potentials. You are, you have so much that the Lord has embedded in you. So reach out. Launch out and don't be afraid to make mistakes. We make mistakes, but you learn from that, and that's all right. So be strong. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Can we give a round of applause to our panelists? They really helped us finish the inner voice. I really hope that you learned something today. And again, I told my mom that you could go to a spa for your birthday. You could go for a walk on your birthday. We could go to the movies for your birthday, but she really wanted to have this discussion and to have these speeches because it's so important to who she is. So thank you for being here with us. Another round of applause for them. So in order to get us to all the festivities, and I can smell the food that's coming in, we'll only really have time for maybe just 2 questions. A question, yes, immediately. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. That's why I said. There we go.
Good evening, everyone. Oluwole is my name. Although I came in late, but as I was, coming in, my auntie here, I don't know, her name was, on the board teaching, or let me call her the moderator. She made one example that I want probably her or any of the audience can just, add more to my knowledge. When I was young, my father would tell me, Olu, knowledge accumulates every day, if only a little is added. And we go further, you will continue to learn until death comes. So, Auntie was saying something concerning, supposing we, maybe one or any of our kids, maybe they are rising up, they are about, choosing career. Then Auntie was saying, probably maybe the father has been an engineer before, but one way or the other, he wanted to be an engineer, but one way or the other, maybe JAMB did not, favor. So he now said probably as the child, was growing, Now the Baba that doesn't, have the opportunity of becoming an engineer now wants the child to become an engineer. So what I'm trying to, the clarification I need in that area is that you should please clear that area. Because if a father is trying to become, something, better in future, in his own time, but he was unable for one reason or the other, I did not see any reason why he cannot encourage any of his kids that I want you to become, because I've seen some family that they are family of 5, every member of the family they are doctors. I've seen family that every member of the family they are lawyers. I've seen family that every member of the family they are pilots. So, but my own assertion, my own area is that probably what my auntie want to maintain is that we don't have to use force. That didactically you have to become a doctor, didactically you have to become a lawyer. But there is nothing bad in we parents encouraging our kids to become something good and something better in life. So that is what I think. If auntie want to say something to
Thank you so very much for that question. So what I was pointing at is I see a lot of parents that want their children to be certain things that they probably failed, like he explained, and that child may not want to be that. So if I dreamt of being a business person, and because that didn't happen to me, and I imposed it on my son, that's what I was pointing at. When I was in Nigeria, I want to cite this example. I met an house officer. House officers for children, they are newly grad doctors. So they call them house officers. Then before they go and do their residency, where they become specialists. This house officer will be the one that will plan parties for her friends. She liked to bake. She liked to travel to Dubai to buy goods and sell. That's what she had passion for. And then, she will write prescriptions. You will have to call her, doctor, what is it that you write here? We can't see. And one day I was on night and she was on call and we had a good chat. And she said, now that I'm done, I will give the certificate to my parents. And now I will go and pursue my passion. Yeah, we see a lot of that in Nigeria. They wanted their parents, they don't let your child live your life. It's okay to aspire for your children to be great. What is your definition of success as a parent? Is being an engineer a success? Is your definition of success is, I want my child to be a doctor, all my children to be doctors. And there are professions out there. There is something about strengths and talents. So now, the strengths and talents that God gave that child, we are trying to overturn it to do medicine or to do engineering. But they go there, they may not be as successful as if they actually did what they are meant to do. I have a brother, the first child of my mom. So this man, very, very smart. And everyone, in Nigeria, when you are smart, everyone will say, this person will be a doctor. No, he's a computer scientist. He's a professor in Futa now. If I mention his name and you are from Futa, you probably know him. So if somebody had forced him to read medicine, He may read that medicine and may or may not be successful. And if he is successful, he may not be as successful as he is right now. So that's my point, sir. Yeah. Exactly. Some people are forcing their children to be what the children don't have the capability of becoming. Every one of us, we have the ability, certain ability. What I'm good at, somebody else might not be good at it. If I'm forcing my child to do what I'm good at, then I'm not helping. Where is our MC? I'm right here. Oh.
Wow, thank you. Okay, yes. Sorry. Last one.
Yeah, my name is Akin Fadoju. I actually want to collaborate with what my sister is saying. I just talked to my family here too, that our last born was very nice, good excellence in science. So when he came up, and job was excellent too. When he came up with what he's going to go for, personally, I want him to be a doctor, because based on his science, I said, this guy will be a good doctor. And he told me, my dad, I don't really like to be a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor. He doesn't say he doesn't like blood, sight of blood at all. And okay, make your choice. And eventually he went for engineering. And today he's doing well. He's in Canada here too. So let's leave our children to decide what they want to do, because that's when the conviction is there for them. We are not going to read for them. Yeah, so just let's give our children.
Thank you so much. With that wonderful note, we'll end our panel. Please, if our panelists can come down. Where is all of the... Yo, you two in the back again. Can you please come and take the chairs? We're going to now switch gears into celebrating the organizer, the person that made this all come together, the one that didn't allow me to have my spa night. It's okay. We'll do this instead. We're going to rearrange a few things. And then I want to call in our pastor to give a little prayer to start the celebration before we go into festivities. How are we doing? Good? Good? Okay, let's take a